A new note on the history of philosophy by Bertrand Russell, great philosopher, writer, mathematician, who wrote The Conquest of Happiness, another book of his that I'm reading not exactly at the same time. I mean, on the same day, I have in the morning some um, lines from History of Philosophy, difficult, very difficult at times, when he deals with Hegel, Kant, and their thinking and philosophy that's hard to grasp. But then this conquest of happiness, other part of the day, is really interesting. So, the note on the chapter on Byron is intriguing and odd in its very existence. I mean, I think one would expect a chapter on Montaigne and his essays rather than one on Byron. But that's Bertrand Russell's decision, his call, and he explains that although the myth went beyond the man and the poet, it was really important in the thinking of the 19th century and beyond. So therefore, we doesn't need to include Byron in this history of philosophy. He has influenced many thinkers, Nietzsche, for one. Um, Byron entertains the idea that he's similar. He has things in common with sinners, great sinners, even perhaps Satan. Nietzsche goes a step further and says something like, well, if there were God, I would not entertain the prospect. I could not accept not being a God. Therefore, there is no God. Something like that. I mean, probably didn't remember his words, but Byron had a complicated life, an interesting family background. He was poor up to the age of 10 or so when he inherited the title and the fortune of an uncle who had killed 10 years before a man in a duel, and so he was ostracized by his community. The family would not accept Byron or his mother. They hated the mother, who was rather primitive and strident, if I remember again well. Byron was worried not to be the same way, and so he became somewhat snobbish. And he is the supporter of this idea of the rebel, of which he was as well, of the hero who fights for freedom and is a warrior. Pacifism is not good. Shopkeepers are, again, something to be despised. Napoleon, hence, is a figure that Byron and others enjoy. I was surprised to understand that, to learn that Goethe applauded the victories of Napoleon as a representative of a superior culture over his own German and Prussian inferior culture. So Byron was happy with the victories of Napoleon, and he was sorry. He said, "That's I regret the defeat of Waterloo." The only time when they were on opposite sides was in 1814, when Byron felt that Napoleon should have committed suicide instead of surrendering to the enemy. The French press saw a common thread and was intrigued by the closeness of the two, even in death. They died at about the same time, the same period. Um, the poet had what we today would call a challenge. He was handicapped, and he loved his sister. Augusta was her name, and he felt oddly good in this sinful, we would call outrageous situation. As a Calvinist, aristocrat, and a rebel, though, he enjoyed being on this wrong side.